But thanks for joining us, and we hope you, because we're running a little late, we'll just get right to it. Baruch, we want to also, we know how, times are always difficult, but these are very difficult times, as we all know, and we'd really like to just kind of think about dedicate the reading to Renee Good and to Alexander Preti, and the protesters in Iran, all of whom we're thinking about, and more, of course. But uh, so just keep that in mind as we listen and absorb and be present for these amazing poets. Baruch, I think you're up.
Well said, Phil. I appreciate those sentiments, and I think poetry it it might not have the answers, but maybe it has a little bit of comfort. I don't know what has the answers to all that's going on in the world. Uh, However, I do have the honor, though, to introduce David Ebenbach. He's a multi-talented writer who has won such awards as the Drew Hines Literature Prize, the Juniper Prize, the Washington Writers Publishing House Fiction Prize, and a Horizon Books Fiction Prize. He's the author of 9 books of poetry, and, as well as a nonfiction guide to the creative process. Um, Anya Groner praised David's writing, saying it contains multitudes. In a single poem, he could switch from funny to earnest. Um, and I look forward to seeing if he'll do that for us tonight. Without further ado, David, let's hear it.
Thank you so much, Baruch. And boy, the pressure's on. Now
Yeah.
I have to deliver on Anya's promises. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here. And thanks for everybody being here. And hopefully this will warm us up and maybe give us some heart. I always like to start by reading something by someone who's not me. So I'm going to read a poem by Hila Ratsabi that I've been thinking about a lot lately, from her wonderful book, There Are Still Woods, which I strongly recommend. Um, and the poem is called Prayer Before Turning on the News. I sit before the TV screen, remote control in hand. I want it to stay this way, this dark, quiet room without a world in it. This nothing, this sweet nothing. The fire truck toy on the shelf, look how it saves no one. In this room, there is nothing burning. Dear God, it is possible. You are the one with wings. Shelter us. Let something have been fixed today. The deal among the nations signed, the guns, all of them, taken away. A woman believed, a man contrite, a border covered in dust. God, I need to know what happened to those who tried to cross. What happened after the storm and earthquake and fire. I can't be everywhere at once, but you can. How can I convince you we are worthy of miracles? How much
He's still
longer can
there.
I?
Was
What's
writing
that?
to him for the Times
So
until
now
last
he's
week.
with
The Atlantic.
Um, how much longer can I delay the inevitable knowing, the daily ritual of witness? At least bear it with me, dear God. Come sit on the couch, put your feet up. I'm making tea. Tell me how this will end. Tell me if there is a chance. Or maybe we can bargain for peace, trade for redemption. Give me something, anything, before I let the messengers into my room. I will not look away. Promise me you won't either. Isn't that amazing? Hilarat Sabi. Of course, I didn't think through carefully enough that now I have to follow that. So, it's a pretty stupid move, really. I'm going to read a newer poem of mine I wrote, I guess this fall or summer, called Inheritance. Stay on the theme to an extent. Inheritance. It's hard to know what to write at. The summer pushes unnaturally into fall, while soldiers watch our intersections, and people talk about which state would end up in which country if we broke. That sound is the sound of glaciers cracking, and everything we've ever recorded is being reviewed by the machines, to which we're calmly bequeathing ourselves. The world is all revenge, and not even against our enemies. A gunman is desperate to spot a child. Maybe he sees himself there, which is why it's so easy to shoot. And of course, we still have the argument about which God is the God who's been ignoring us for so long. Why didn't we ever call these questions moot before they rolled over into this generation? People have been told authoritatively that they themselves don't exist. I'm writing this on a chunk of landfill, machine that talks to all the machines. The throne is desperate for revenge. The throne is revenge, which is why soldiers watch our intersections, and summer pushes unnaturally into fall, and the machine is already depleting its inheritance. So that's that one. Thank you. Um, Yeah, I mean the mood, this is the mood, right? This is a poem called Help Wanted. Hmm. Because someone loses a limb now, and again now. Bombs open the landscape. There's shrapnel, and now. People die in theaters, and that's the show, all metallic applause. People die in restaurants, and that's the meal. In schools, and that's the lesson. Synagogues, and that's the day's Torah. A body lies on the asphalt and nobody even moves it in all this heat. Meanwhile, God makes the world beautiful like an apology. Sympathy flowers, animals quick in the background, rainbows that might as well be balloons, while somewhere else there's more blood. Like this, dropping the sun behind some houses, everything glows. It isn't a healed wound. It's not enough. Meanwhile, now. And again now. There will be some, I will get somewhere where, it's not going to be all. Okay, this poem is called God, G-D. You show up at a rented room and someone hands you sheets and a towel, white but of course previously used and only washed. This is how God enters, all in a stack. To call this a gift is too much. You carry the linens off to your room, set them on the bed for a moment. You see the room before it is softened. And then you hang the towel on the one metal bar, fit the sheets to the mattress, corner by difficult corner. And that's from my book, What's Left to Us by Evening, which I'm going to read from a bit tonight. But first, back to a newer poem called Asking for Something. Certain requests come back returned to sender, like the ones for world peace or the end of hunger. Your silence there, your way of saying this is a you problem. And so when I set out a chair for you, I usually don't ask for the world sweeping gesture, reversal of the human tide. From my chair, I just ask if sometimes you can hold my suffering for me, or if you could keep an eye on my joy. Between us waits a small white bowl, porcelain, or sometimes it's a bucket, dented but watertight. Either way, I ask you for what's possible. If I can decant me into this vessel when I'm brimming over. That, yes. And also, if you could, when I'm ready, even if I don't know that I am, pour it all back into me. And then back into the book for a poem called Double Rainbow. Um, and it starts with an epigraph from Genesis after the flood, and there's the rainbow. And it says, I have set my bow in the clouds, and it shall serve as a sign of the covenant between me, God, and the earth. Double rainbow. Yesterday, someone robbed me, and today, an afternoon of rain brings a double rainbow. Judaism has a blessing for that. Also, a prayer for keeping thieves away. We have words for everything, even for when words don't work. The story says it's a promise, this rainbow. No more world-ending floods. If our things are swept away, it's going to be by our hands, and we'll own our losses. But what does the second arc mean? The one with colors reversed that hangs pale alongside? What bargain is that? There are so many ways to destroy a world. What I mean is, may we only lose things. Please, may we all have enough time left. And this one is a more recent one called Scales. Thanks for that heart. That's nice. Scales. All of the Jews are to blame, said someone I know on the internet today. Genocide, he said in little digital letters. He said, you're doing something wrong if nobody's yet called you an anti-Semite. His page is full of images that the internet warns me I might not want to see. I look at them. Blood and dust, dust clouding blood, filling the wounds. And in the middle of thinking about all of this, I get a text from my son, who is falling in love, or something very much like it. Today, he and his girlfriend visited an island and stood in a phone booth that was just for show. Nothing is to scale. Nothing is to scale on a planet like this. It's like how our tiny moon can hide the sun, but also how it usually does not. This is a really short one called Chosen. Let's skip for once the obvious questions. By whom? And why us? And even as opposed to who else? Let's instead let it all settle, whether on shoulders, in hands, or hair. Let's just put on coat and shoes and go outside. Stand in the wanting street. Let's be pulled into the world, which needs us to matter. And then just two more. This one actually is in honor of the brother of one of our hosts. This poem I wrote in response to a Yehoshua November poem, and it's called Theological Poem. This is super quickie.
I assume he knows about it, right?
He does. And
He
he is
shouldn't
not,
have done that. He's going to get a big head now.
he wasn't mad, which is all I was going for.
All right, let you go. Sorry to
No,
interrupt.
it's good. Theological Poem. I read in a poem that all the theories that say God doesn't exist were written by God. God reads in a poem, the poem that is the universe, that all the theories that say God does exist were written by a poet. And then I'll close with this one last poem, also very short, called Opening. Thank you all so much. Opening. A panel in the synagogue ceiling is loose. You can see that when you're praying. Also, a vent on the synagogue wall, slightly agape. Right. The entire world is broken, and the entire world is an opening. Thanks very much.
How do you do that, David? How do you write such incredible short poems?
Come on,
I
man.
want to know right now. I want to be able to do that.
If I ever
I,
figure out how to, I'll let you know.
thank you. But
David, I think maybe your next book should be called Aw Shucks.
aw shucks.
It'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, you guys. That'll be the name.
No, I was very moved by those poems. I'm always envious of wonderful short
Amazing.
poems.
Well,
Because
well, I can't write beautiful long ones like you do, so.
I was moved by so much. God kind of handing you a towel. I
Mm.
I
Mhm.
just thought was wonderful, and I thought, whoa, what a great idea! What a great poem, and just to imagine that.
I
Um,
like the poems where I don't totally know what I'm talking about, you
those
know.
are the best, aren't they?
Those are the best ones.
And I think this would be a great motto for our times, any times, but these times. Let's be pulled into the world which needs us to matter. Like, wow, let's put that on a billboard or something. So, thank you very much. I have the honor of pleasure of introducing Amy Small-McKinney. Amy, are you there somewhere? There you are in the corner.
Yeah.
People keep moving around. And by the way, welcome Betsy Fogelman.
Yeah.
Tighe. Tighe? Mispronounced. Who cares? She's here. And right in the center. If this was like Hollywood Square, it should be Hall Inn or something. So right in the middle of which is where you belong. Thank you so much, and thanks everybody for your patience because Betsy will have been worth it. But right now we're going to think about Amy Small-McKinney. Is the author of 6 books of poetry. Her newest full length is "You Think the World Ends." I love that title. Was just released this past March, so it's brand spanking new by Glasslear Press. Our second full-length book of poems, Walking Towards Cranes, won the Cathera Book Prize. Her poems have appeared in many anthologies: Rumors, Secrets, and Lies, um, Poems in Pregnancy, Abortion, and Choice, and 101 Jewish Poems for the Third Millennium. Her poem Love Furious appeared in Verse Daily, and her poems have been translated into Korean and Romanian, which is really cool. Can you read them in Korean and Romanian?
Yeah, right.
Will you read one to you? Just want to hear the Romanian language. I just saw, speaking of Romanian, I just saw anybody see the PBS special on Ali Wiesel?
Yes.
I just saw that last night. He, of course, he grew up in Romania
Yeah.
and powerful. Totally recommend it. Really powerful. PBS. He's they do the Master series, whatever. Anyway, not to get too waylaid, but the whole Romania brought me to that. Her books have been reviewed in journals such as the wonderful journal Prairie Schooner and Matter. She has a degree in neuropsychology. Wow! So you probably could send me some medications, will you? And from Drexel University, MFA in poetry from Drew. As we have learned, and maybe even know, she lives in the great city of Philadelphia, where she teaches poetry workshops privately and as part of conferences. I really love her poems. You also have a lot of shorter poems, not all of them, but
Yeah.
again, a wonderful. And one line that really stood out. I don't know if you're going to read this poem. I don't want to spoil the ending, but it's the last line. A widow opens her window. It's a wonderful little poem. And the last line is the wild luggage of our hearts. I just love
Oh,
that line.
I could read that one. I hadn't planned it, but I could find it.
Well, I didn't want to, that doesn't matter. I just love the line, and it'd be obviously to hear any of your poems. But
Okay.
one more thing about an interview, you said we write alone and then look for a community of readers. I thought this was relevant to what we're doing. We look for a sense of belongingness, a sense of being read and heard. I'm not invisible, am I? Here I am with you. So here you are with us. So
Thank you so much. I'm
thank you.
so honored to have been invited. Um, David, I don't have anyone else's poem to read, but I have to follow you, and that's fairly scary. Um, I feel like I've just started writing from my Jewishness the last few years. It's always been my underground stream I return to and swim inside. Um, so here I am. I'm going to begin with a poem in sections, and I wasn't going to read it, but in light of what we've been talking about, honoring the victims of needless violence, I thought I would pull out this old one. It's in sections. Limits of language. Let's say you are struggling to speak. A 6-year-old has been ensnared by a shooter in the sights of his automatic. Let's say you don't understand his language of righteousness. You look for oxygen, for the locust that grows nearly 20 feet tall. Let's say his mind empties, body disconnects, returns astonished by his own rage. Let's say you want to walk a path through the black locusts that survive drought, lousy soil, pollution, sea spray, light and shade, its clusters of white or pink, fragrant as your own body once was. Let's say the shooter turns his back, decides not to kill. Notice how the locust treetop becomes a bear holding its cub, now a bird, how the Arctic tern lives longest and travels in its lifetime almost 3 times around the moon. Let's say you love this path, following your beloved onto another trail that loops past a waterfall, then a stream, where human figures loom above in the distance, and you can only guess if they hold guns or each other. I'm going to read a short new poem. I'm talking to Moses. Why not, right? And I hope it's the first of several poems that where I talk to are imperfect and beautiful biblical figures. And I picked Moses because of my own lifetime of challenge with articulation and pronunciation and some learning differences. Dear Moses, I know how words become trap birds, not trapped exactly, but how a mouth becomes a damp cave, and how birds and we cannot find an exit. What is possible, my friend, though not easy, I know, is love of self and other. Your mouth a splendid garden where an unknown genus blooms, and a shimmering winged dove. Then how Aaron cradles the blossom for you. This our opening. This poem is from my latest book, and you think it ends. And this was, I think, not a period, but the semicolon on several years of grieving. How I returned. When you died, my body went dark, not just dark, but folded into itself, became a cave, refused to return to flesh. When you died, I could not wear clothes on this cave body. My entrance, a mouth spitting out cloth and hope. When you died, I called to you, come back, but my words became elements gobbling invisible space. I waited for you to return to me, to my circle of not seeing. Then I stopped, well home instead, the insistent sparrow of myself. Whoops. Oh, sorry. This one is a rather long poem, and I had my timer ready and forgot to set it on. So, uh, okay. It's called The Girls. In a basement in the rough side of town, I hung out with tattooed boys and shared cigarettes with sullen girls. Where I lived, no long stretch of road led to the horizon. No lights at Christmas, no wreath with ribbon on a door. From our front window I saw copies of our own, each with 8 candles, a ninth lifting the others. When my mother waited on a chair by the kitchen door, her head bobbed to one side, not sleeping, half of her with us, the other half drowning in Valium. I ran away for 3 days. Chaz's basement was divided by sofas and a sliding vinyl door with accordion pleats. We dropped our books like garbage. On the other side of the room, Ricky waited on a couch to kiss me, and Chaz joked, "You're not really a Jew." I didn't blame him. What did he know of me? Our lives split in two, a scar across a neighborhood chart. My bleached yellow hair could not protect me. Still, I like to imagine I spoke up, want to remember words so badly that I'm willing to invent them. In the high school hallway, I stared into a girl who wore a camel hair coat, her blonde hair bobbing in harmony with the world. If I stared long enough, I might become her. My mother bought me the same coat in red. I never wore it. Red, not a color of belonging. At the hospital, my mother's stomach pumped again. She returned home to us despairing, floating along her forced current. Today, what would I tell her? What can I tell any girl who wants to be someone else? Or what can I tell the girls huddled this week in bottoms of boats at the border between hope and slaughter? I love you. Here is a blanket. It took me a long time to know exactly who I am and really honor and respect my ancestors, especially the women in my family, including Menachie, who was in Poland. And I read about in New York Times some endangered birds. And instead of thinking about birds, I ended up thinking about them. It's called extinctions. And it's for my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, and my sister-in-law who was from Bogota. I hiked the knots of El Salvador and cannot find the belted flycatcher, cannot find the shy Guernese pita inside Myanmar's lowland floor. Listen for its broken whistle, melodies I have not yet learned. Sleep, my little bird, or schlaf mein Vögele, or duerme mi parito. If only she and she and she were still my dear birdies. Against my city's skyscraper windows, oven birds shatter unless building lights are dimmed and they can find the stars. The oven birds say, "Teacher, teacher, teacher." I cannot find my own fading song. I am a crow circling a dead crow, a magpie setting clips of grass beside ones I have loved. I set my small stones. I'm going to ask Phil and Baruch to do me a favor. As I said, I forgot to turn on my phone. Even though I time myself, I'm not always trusting in that. So let me know if I'm going to. Hearts of prayer. I want a bird song that never stops, though poor thing will be tired. Exhausting to ask, give me strength over and over. Exhausting too to be the listener, she we hope knows all. And then the hovering Cooper's hawk, always another part of prayer. What I want is to be the bird that flew into my window because it dared and lived, and then the listener, the Shekhinah, receiving the bird's muffled hallelujah. My whole body prayer, all of it, even the arrogance of the hawk. My whole body a parted sea where finally a swallow flies for safety. The spark inside this body, because exhaustion and anger and hope must all be bird songs, even the complication of the eternal hawk singing and praying along. I think I'm okay for two more. Yeah. Okay. This one is called Broome County, New York, America. The crows are angry. As a matter of fact, I have never seen angrier crows. One screeches, the other screeches. Dark, feathered fury at molecules or ghosts or at each other. It is nearly impossible to understand anything in this country, this world anymore. But here the hills offer so much pleasure, you would think they have hands. I think the first crow screamed, "Leave, this belongs to me." The hills were not bothered a bit. I want to carry them home, the hills and the humming angel inside them. Hum along with her. She wears navy blue and is thin as an alleyway. And I think I'm going to end with one that doesn't have a title, but a quote by Walt Whitman. As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. Walt Whitman. I wake, place my feet on the blue-gray rug, move slowly toward the bathroom, the sink requiring cleaning, then notice in the mirror the miracle of aging, then notice in my bed the miracle of you who almost didn't find me. The white forest of your chest, your thighs reminding me of baobab trees that grow without buckling, that can live for 3,000 years, can shelter up to 40 people inside the safety of its trunk. We are old and in love, and I thank the universe, thank God, thank whatever I can thank. Maybe trees, maybe that cloud shaped like a basket filled with zinnias. And no, there is no end to this poem. No end. Thank you. Yeah.
Wow. No end. Speaking of Walt Whitman, I was
Wow.
thinking Whitman ran across my mind when you were doing the "My Whole Body is Prayer"
Yeah.
poem. Um, I wonder why we love poetry, y'all. Why we need it so badly. And when I was reading your work earlier for this, and I wanted to find a quote or two, and one of them was "The Insistent Sparrow of Myself," and you read that poem. I thought, oh my, wonderful. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. Boy, we having a good time so far? Well, fortunately, I don't know whether it was Erica's magic or Betsy's persistence, maybe a combination of both, but thankfully, Betsy got aboard the ship after being rudely kicked off by this, I don't know by who. We don't know
It
by
was
who.
me. I figured it out. My settings on my work computer are different than my settings at my home computer. So in the
Ah,
settings, it had don't let back in if I kick her. Whereas I have that turned off on my work computer, but at my home computer, I don't have that turned off. So it blocked you. It blocked you. So good thing you had another computer because then it was fine. It had a different IP address. So it was
what
my fault, but
advice?
we're good. We got it.
We could do that on our computers. We set it right. We could just kick somebody off in there.
Yeah.
It was really necessary for like Zoom bombing, so, and I obviously am a terrorist, but
Well, you're a poet anyway. Betsy, it's so great to have Betsy Fogelman. I mispronounced your name. Teak? I think I did this before.
tie,
Hey,
yeah, tie.
Betsy and I have known each other for over a, a year. When was that, yes, sir? Was that last summer or the summer before that? I can't
No,
remember. Was it
six
last summer?
six
Oh my
months ago, 7 months ago, yeah.
God. Feels like years ago, doesn't it?
And we met, and we were with David there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It's wonderful to have this little thing. Um, and we already had something in some of our poetry tastes were in common, and it was wonderful to get to know you, Betsy, and to see you here. She's published widely in literary journals, including Tri-Quarterly, for which she was nominated for a Pushcart, twice in Rattle. She won a third place and a first place prize from Oregon Poetry Association. She lives in Portland, by the way, all the way from Portland. Her full-length manuscript has been semi-finalist for the Snake Nation Poetry Violet Reed Haas Poetry Prize and the Hidden River Willow Run Book Award. And one of my favorite poets, too, Ilya Kaminsky, chose a poem for one of her poems as a semi-finalist for the 2020 Lorraine Williams Poetry Prize. Speaking of which, have you seen Ilya's poem in the New Yorker? Highly recommend it. It's amazing. So you were chosen by one of the gods, I think. So that's great. King's Poetry is about her mentor. She has a wonderful essay about her mentor, James Wright, one of my favorite poets, and appears in the spring 2018 issue of the Georgia Review. She retired in 2022 for her good work as a teacher and a librarian in Portland, where she also pays some notice to her garden and values the presence of her two young children. Um, she has been known to say, my moral compass has been set by Jewish laws and customs, and my sense of time by the liturgical calendar. And I like this one. My humor was instilled by being around lots of funny Jews. So let's be funny Jews. You said that. You did. You're quoted. She also has a poem that ends, that I really like this, is that I am bending to kiss every petal of this black-eyed Susan. I am saving its seeds to share with my neighbors next summer. So share some of your seeds with your neighbors right here.
Okay. Well, first, profuse gratitude and the deepest apologies to all of my colleagues here and to the audience. I'm so sorry to have wasted anybody's precious time and to have disturbed the universe. So thank you for sticking with me. I owe an amends, and I owe
Betsy,
you.
Yom Kippur is coming.
It's a way away. I know. I'm so happy to be in the company of David and Amy, and thank you, Baruch and Philip, for inviting me. I was thinking about what I wanted to focus on for this reading, and I thought it made sense to try to find poems of mine that had at least a smidgen of Jewish content. So not current, not what might be so much in our hearts, but here we go. Listen. In the desert, a person first finds majesty. I heard the hum of angelic earth. If you were our God, the voice of a mother, where would you throw your notes but into an army of earth that expands in the sun and contracts at night? A birth canal for voice, new each time it speaks. Thus, the expectancy there in the vast yellow meadow. What may happen when? Golden and sparkling, soon the low greens may explode into flame, or the ocean of a sudden to spill over the crest of hills. You may be there. Perhaps God will speak. Maybe Moses will heed. Maybe God will throw down his hands, largest tents, and you will catch the fingers. I may too, and we will ride through space flushed like Aurora in her coach, counting the stars and shouting out our blessings, louder than the button churchmen in Minnesota and Metuchen, but softer than the grains of sand, splitting and doubling and rolling in these waves. I will say that this is my yahrzeit week. It's the anniversary of both my father and my mother's death. I'm going to read two elegies, one for my father and one for my brother, actually. And I will tell you that I was my father's only survivor. I did not know at the time of his death that Jewish law prohibited cremation. So that was my choice for him. And then you'll see in the poem for my brother, that was my mother's choice for herself. So, don't write me later and tell me I did the wrong thing, please. Carrying My Father on My Back. And I will say about half of these have been published somewhere. If you want to find them, you probably could. Carrying My Father on My Back. A surreal metaphor enlivened. I am walking in a national monument, debris of a people decimated by the Gentiles and their mission, and I am searching for the spot that tells me where to spread the ashes of my father, which I carry on my back. Smaller than the coffin of an infant, the box of my father's ashes fits neatly in the flowered knapsack I bought to carry necessities. The way that I cradle him now is the way I've always wanted to handle my poor, lost father, misanthrope, alienated gambler. Now I've got his life, or what is left of what little there ever was of it, on my back, in my hands. It is the Sabbath before Passover, and I want to liberate him. He's been dead 7 weeks now, and his ashes in my closet 5. I have tried to say the mourner's Kaddish, facing east each morning, and to consider where his spirit might be going. I hope if he returns, it will be as something happier, brighter. The edges of the box are digging in the niche of my back. I slip my hands under to put some space between me and my father. I whisper, "Daddy, no one is gone. They're all here now, everyone. I see them in the hills, feel them in the grasses." I think of his love, how it was intermittent, hidden, and that the only time I saw him tender was as a small child, when in the dark apartment he'd moved into with his mother, the divorce papers were delivered, and he cried, standing by the door ajar, the letter trembling in his hands. I've been remembering much these weeks. What I want to forget is the image received from his license, how he'd come to look in the years since I'd seen him, gaunt, haunted, aged. We hit the high point of the path towards south, where we faced the deep green covered mountains, stretched like cathedrals with that terror of sublime. So I turned back towards the ceremonial kiva that sits over the fertile valley, welcoming, warm to rest in. I imagine this is where their pockmarked dead were laid under cover of the dances. I kneel, I do the sentimental thing, chant, say prayers, read poetry. I put my hands in the ashes that were my father. I want to examine what happened to the millions in Poland and Germany. I scatter him on the hillside, saying how I've loved him. We are alone together, as we always have been. At the end, I see a white-haired man's been watching. I hope he's the angel and bless him. I walk back to the car, the knapsack much lighter. I cannot carry my father any farther. And we'll go straight to the second elegy and then be done with death for the evening until we turn on the news. No, sorry. Okay. The funeral of my brother. His body comes alone aboard a jet with the luggage behind a gate. There are fewer of us to view his body than there were to see our mothers. He's wearing a Western shirt and his Star Trek ring. Going with him, wire-rimmed glasses he will need to watch and see. I steal away his knife, and when it's found later at airport security, must go out and around to ship it in its petite padded envelope straight back to me, arriving 5 days later in the exact shape it left, almost as he did, believing with the Egyptians that death is just a quiet interruption, meaning resumption, for which the physical form must be preserved. Cremation, our mother's choice, he thought the final error. To what will the vital organs, which the Egyptians removed for 40 days, the length of time Moses purified, preparing to receive, "Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt have no other God before me," be returned? He claimed his tribe was Vulcan, a humanoid race that attempts to live by reason and logic with no interference from emotion, which almost describes him, except for a few sporadic and irrational attachments. Instead of the last priestly ritual, the opening of the mouth magically gives the mummy the ability to speak and eat again. A rabbi says for him that his name, Malmed, derives from the Hebrew for teacher, And what Andy last taught us was about dignity and grace, how he tried to soften it all for us, maybe especially me, a sponge on the bottom of the ocean of ill fate, one person after another drifting away. The rabbi showed us Andy's sign, how to let go the grasp, unclench the fingers, add the index finger to the thumb, press the others together. Not goodbye, but command. Live long and prosper. Okay. I had someone tell me some time ago that I'm also good with numbers. And so I seem to be trying to use them a little bit in poetry. Sorry. So here's a goofy number a goofy poem that uses 12. I don't know why. 12 tribes? Baruch, is there something else about 12 in Judaism? No? Okay. We'll say 12
Uh,
tribes.
it's I'm just not able to come up with anything right now. I'll look
Okay.
into it for you.
Look into it for me, Rabbi.
Yes.
Thank you. By the way, before I got on tonight, I want you to know I was looking at Avia Kushner's post about your book. So, yeah, it's out there. All right. It's called Unfinished Laundry. Always seeking ease, I throw the sheets from the second story to the first, then cradle them tenderly, like the cat commands, to the machine where I crowd them with yours, daughter, whose collared shirts I hand scrub before adding tatty towels and tumble all 12 minutes. Same as the longest roll in the hay I ever had that bore me you, Amazonian, with that glint on your gritted teeth, the skull and crossbones on your shoulder. The dryer takes an hour, 5 times the washing, as digging the grave is harder than delivery. The shovelful's heavier than the bed sheets soaked by my labor. You tumbled out the 12th hour. Just a girl, you were alone when you found the house emptied of its contents by meth heads, allegedly their 12th robbery of the season. We stood together to report the missing items, bracelets, pendants, iPads, a sense of safety, and to feed their adult bodies cheese, cookies and milk, 12 ice cream sandwiches. Chametz we had to clean anyway to join hands around the Seder table, chanting, Dayenu. It was enough that we were led from the desert, enough that we survived and stayed together. Clean napkins crumbled in our laps, beeswax candles illuminating crooked smiles, the lines and blemishes of 12 familiar faces. I am trying to keep, I think I'm okay. Okay. Here's one that takes place in my temple. I'm getting bat mitzvah on the 7th, on February 7th. I'm pretty excited. Okay. Being dragged through life towards death. While the adults ponder the name of God, how God calls himself, herself, how Moses should name it when he returns to the anxious people, who he knows will demand an answer. A girl and boy, 9 or 10, cross the sanctuary, he ahead, until a moment later, she is dragging his inert body, supple in her grasp, across the floor to the double doors. Being dragged towards death, not silently, all the way through the carpeted room of life. They are playing at command, at authority and obedience, a display meant not for us, but nonetheless that serves us watching, who must be reminded that God is here, drawing out the game board squares, where each foot must fall first, marking the score, keeping balance. Okay. 3 short ones. I think I'm okay. Am I? Philip, is that okay? I think I also, okay? Too much?
No, you're good. I had to unmute myself. Yeah, no, go.
Okay, so this poem, I don't know if you know the poet Kaveh Akbar. He does a free class for people in recovery on Zoom once a month. So this is for him. It's called Instructions. Kaveh says, in recovery, is off paranoia and on pronoia. Something in the universe is bending towards my happiness. I ask God every morning to tender my heart, help me lead with love and compassion rather than the chokehold of criticism and suspicion. God doesn't answer often, except in those spacious moments when I'm able to see the work of the insects done just for me. And here's a little romp poem. Some of you might suspect who I'm actually talking about rather than the name I use. Hypocrisy. Rotund and renowned Mordecai Menschlich, the Jewish mystic, joyfully carried into Sabbath meals as an honored bride on a lacquered chair, treasured tales from the shtetl deep in the Poland only his father remembered. I found in each story, like the loose tooth in an apple, a new vision. Mordecai's wife bore platters of chicken with long green beans embellished with sliced almonds and tureens of chicken soup floating with matzo balls like giant inflatable toys children forget in the grass when they're called into their lessons. It was late for me, but I desperately wanted to embrace them. There are some people I cannot charm, but M was not one of them. He caused the hammer to strike the bell on my phone too often around 4 a.m. or 5 to whisper how enchanting I'd been that evening, my young white neck, projected like a map above a high black collar. In the morning when I dressed, I found a shoe missing in its dusty place of brick, to which my mother had tied an urgent note she knew I could not fail to miss. It is just as easy to love a rich man as a poor one. Get smart. Love, mother. Biological imperative hung around my doorway, dropping its tracts and Chinese menus. The litter drove me off, a haphazard search for a willing mate, a good man, maybe with a blackened heart I could lighten. Sometime last year, I heard Mordecai Menschlich, rotund and renowned, had died a few years earlier, leaving a grieving people. Thank you, Nina. Okay, and the last poem I'll read is called Derivation, and it's both about, the language that I use in the poem and also, a nod to Leonard Cohen, who you might hear in the poem. Derivation. You relate to me that joy is, for the most part, oi, fronted with a little juice. Let's not, for our part, forget the dark. We need it for the light to edge in. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Wow. Yeah. You have been hanging around a lot of funny Jews. And we're hanging around you, so we're going to be funny too.
Yeah.
That was great. That was great. There was so much Jewish stuff in there.
That's what I picked. Some of them old.
Something in the universe is bending toward my happiness.
Mm.
Remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Bat mitzvah. So I don't think you should go anywhere. We should go anywhere until we hear Betsy's Haftorah.
Lahem davar.
You got it.
No,
Okay.
no
All right. Wow. Well, good luck. Mazel tov. That's so cool.
Thank you.
Did
Wow.
anyone get you a tallis yet?
I had one that I've been using for some years, and then one of my class. So there are 22 of us. It's a b'nai mitzvah, 22 of us, and one of my darling classmates made me one.
Oh,
Wow.
sweet. That's great.
Yeah.
Boy. Well. I don't know if this is a first for our series or what, but we don't know that, but it's cool.
I'm the first person to announce it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. Thank you so much, Baruch. What do you got some wise words for us?
I don't think I can top any of the wise words that we just heard from these three poets, so I
There
would
you
just
go.
embarrass myself.
Yeah.
Well, that's nothing unusual, but
Right.
you know.
Can you tell we try for a Hamish sensibility here. So, anybody else want to chatter or anything? Maybe say how great these poets were, besides us. On mic, unmute.
Yes, I'm happy to say how great these poets are. This
Thank
was
you, Nina.
just terrific. And I love the difference in styles, and that just beautiful craft and just the themes. And it's very, very moving. Exactly what we need right now in this time.
Oh boy, yeah. All three so powerful, but very, somewhat coming. That's the wonderful thing about poetry. It's we're all in our own universes, giving that to people, and it's so different from everybody else's. Yet it's still connecting. And I know it's cliche, but I really felt that tonight. I really did. And there were some crossovers with uh, David saying something about I don't know what it was, light or whatever it was, and then Betsy, and then I don't know. It's just thank you.
I felt like like you said, Hamish, in a way, I felt like the poems really were down to earth, Like I
Hmm.
felt like they really hit me on like a very human level. Like I could just relate. There were moments where I just like felt like I was totally connected to what I was hearing.
There's a lot of wisdom in the poems
Yeah.
throughout. Throughout, they're really, you know.
Well, because I was late, I don't know anything. Is there anyone who's actually from Buffalo on? Or are we all
Erica.
Erica.
Erica, thanks
Here
for
and it's
doing this.
cold.
We want to thank
I
Erica
miss.
again and again and again.
Yay, Erica.
Yay.
Oh, you're good. They do all the work. I'm telling you. They find all the great poets. So I just help with the technology.
Mhm.
No small thing, as we discovered tonight.
As we
Yeah.
discussed. As
Yeah,
we
that's
discussed.
true.
After a service, we have an oneg, you have a little party, and let's just have that spiritual party, and maybe go out and get a little nosh from your refrigerator or somewhere, and eat some sugar or whatever you do.
Have some borscht.
Yes, borscht, I would love some. Oh
Borscht and
my.
cream.
Ah.
Sour
Yeah.
cream.
Betsy, it's Amy. I was bat mitzvahed in 2022.
Oh, Amy.
And I know it's wonderful. Mazel tov. It's
So I'm from Philadelphia originally, and I'm a Reconstructionist Jew, and I was a renewal Jew, so I'm very attached again. I feel attached to Philadelphia. So tell me, what's your congregation and who's your rabbi? And
it's Beth Or. It's in the suburbs because that's where I lived raising my child for 25 years. And it's the group I went to Israel with. And it's a reform. Um,
is it Elkins Park?
no, it's Maple Glen. My
Oh.
family was part of the one in Elkins Park. But yeah, anyway, it was pretty wonderful to say the least, even though I struggled with Hebrew. Uh, so,
But she was fabulous, wonderful.
Oh,
oh my God,
we have a witness.
Yes,
my
have a
friend
witness.
Nina. Yeah.
Betsy, tell us where you were in Philadelphia, what synagogue, and where did you live in Philly, or
Well,
what is
first of all, wait, I just saw that Brianna, Brianna,
oh,
you're so welcome. Thank you for coming and listening to all this Jewish nonsense, Michigas.
No, thank you. It's absolutely incredible. I recognize some of the words. I work for a hospice organization that has a Jewish care and support program, so I'm always trying to learn. And this is a beautiful, fantastic way to learn and just absolutely gorgeous. Thank you all for your incredible art and bringing it to us because the reason we need poetry is because the poetry is the light in the dark, as are all of you. Thank you so much.
Oh,
That's so nice.
what a darling
Yeah.
person. Thank you.
Erica, did you get
I know
on the
Brianna from years ago. We were both at Earlham College at the same time and in different capacities. It's so wonderful to see you. Thank you for being here.
Oh,
Thank you for posting about this on your Facebook, because this is how I found out about this, and I passed it along to a couple of the rabbis I work with. I think they were unable to make it, but I'm sure they're going to be reviewing the recording because this is
wonderful.
absolutely gorgeous. Thank you.
I just have to say, I will answer the question, but and I don't mean to dominate conversation if other people want to talk. Yesterday, I was listening to the New Yorker poetry podcast, whatever the name of it is, and I was listening to one with Tracy Brimhall, which was wonderful. And I can't stop thinking today about her saying she's a teacher, but it sounds like a great motto for poetry. It's like she really tries to steer the kids away from saying, what does a poem mean and what does it feel? You know, like having the experience of the poem. So yeah, thank you, Brianna, for having the experience of the poems.
Erica, when is our next reading?
Yeah, I got it right here. Hold it up so I can have it. February 19th
19th.
is
Okay.
our next one. 7 o'clock again.
Yeah. And we
And
have, who do we have?
we've got Joshua,
Joshua Weiner.
Joshua Weiner. Yep,
Yeah.
Julia Knobloch. Is that how you say that? Knobloch?
Yeah, not block.
And David Kaplan.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
Got
Yeah.
that?
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll when the recording is ready, I hand the recording over to my tech guy and he posts it on YouTube. So once that's ready, I'll send everybody who signed up. I have your email. So I will send out that YouTube link, and I will send out the next link so you guys can sign up for the February one. So you guys will get that too.
Yeah. You had mentioned David Hyla. You read a poem?
Oh, Hila? Yeah, Hila
Yeah.
Rasabi,
Yeah,
who
she's going to be
wrote,
reading in April for us. So she's going to be on our, yeah. So you could hear her read in April.
yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. We've got a lot of amazing poets coming up, right, Baruch? So, in order to catch the next episode of The Pit, I'm going to, um, unless anybody else wants to say, we have a few minutes.
It
Anything?
is a great show.
It is. They mentioned the Tree of Life in the last
They
episode.
did.
I didn't
They
see
did.
it yet. I want to.
I live near Pittsburgh, so it meant, I mean, it's just another reason for why it was so meaningful.
Can I say so? I'm sorry I jumped in at the end and I missed out all the poets. I had another Zoom poetry oriented Zoom that I had to go to. So is your show, is it focused on Jewish poetry?
Well, that's a good question. It's called the Jewish Poetry Series, and sometimes poets will ask, "Hi, Amy, I'm looking at you. I have some poems that aren't, specifically Jewish. Is that okay?" Oh, yeah. What does it mean? Mostly they're Jewish poets, I guess. But as far as what is read is up to the poet, right,
Okay.
Baruch? Does that sound right?
Yeah, we're celebrating. Uh, you know, people. Just celebrating Jewish poets, but we're celebrating their voices, not necessarily Jewish poems, but Jewish voices.
And what is a Jewish poem anyway? Maybe we could have a
Yeah,
session on that.
that's gonna be a whole,
That's why I
that's a
asked.
whole big.
But did that help answer that question, Lynn?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
ever have that panel, what is a Jewish poem and what's a Jewish poet? Please call me up because I've been struggling with that and I would love to be a part of that discussion.
Yeah,
Anyway,
well, so it's a great discussion. We don't have answers. We have questions, and we
that's
love to talk about
perfect.
it, and it's always engaging.
I think a Jewish poem is any poem that shows up late and mostly complains when it gets there.
Yeah.
The Jewish poem
Good,
also
David.
usually has technical problems.
I mean, isn't that right? And
Yes.
maybe it has cream cheese right here, from a bagel.
Somebody, we were some of the Redditors were asking, what about the deli buffet afterwards, which Jews love to eat, and we could have bagels, and I wondered if we could have Nova or belly locks.
Yeah, I got that.
I have a poem about a Jewish deli.
It does. A really
Should
good
just have
one.
a session on. I keep all these little special sessions, maybe just a Jewish deli poems, or Jewish joke poems or whatever. I mean,
Good categories.
categories. Yeah. See, Baruch, we can take this. We can take this, God, in so many directions. But anyway,
Yeah.
since we can talk all night because we're all a bunch of Jews mostly, or a bit around a bunch of Jews. Join us next month or keep in touch. Whatever. Now that you're here, you'll be on our mailing list, I hope, whether you like it or not.
And thank you, Philip and Baruch, for
Yes.
You're
running.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Baruch,
Good
when
to
are you
see
coming
new
back from Israel?
faces. Good to see old faces.
Yeah. When are you
Good
coming
to
back
see
from Israel,
Phil's
Baruch?
face.
Baruch, when are you coming back from Israel?
Sunday.
Sunday. All right. Get in touch. Good luck. Have a
All
safe
right.
flight
What's
and
that?
have a safe flight.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Take care, everyone.
Shalom.
Thank you so
Thank
Shalom.
you,
much.
Erica.
Yeah.
And
Have a
thank
good
you,
one.
JCC of
Stay
Buffalo.
warm.
Thanks,
Take care,
everybody.
guys. Thank you,
Thank you
David,
so much.
Betsy, and Amy. Thank you so much. How about one more little emoji or whatever it is for you
Thank you
guys?
all for coming.
you. That was
Terrific.
awesome. Thank
Thanks.
you, everybody.
Wonderful.
That's
Thank
my friend Irene.
Bye-bye. And Erica.
Yep. Have a
Take
good night, everyone.
care.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.